First of all, thank you for waking up early on a Saturday and being here. I hope that I'll entertain you and give you some information about this project that I call the what, the why, and the how. It's really an incredible project that I told my wife, oh, we're just going to do one block at a time and all that. And here we are, 1.7 miles of doing this project. So anyway, thank you, Roger, for that wonderful introduction. You gave way too much detail. So as Roger said, I arrived in, first of all, this is my wife, Beth, who's also my partner. She's the real brains. I just like to talk.
You're the
So
pretty
anyway, I'm
face.
just going to share with you a lot of stories. I love storytelling. I think the foundation of our culture, our species, is about storytelling. And I believe the reason why this project has gotten so much traction and so many people are participating is because it's a powerful idea. It's a compelling idea. And when you have a compelling idea, things fall into place because people want to be part of it. And what is more compelling to the Bay, to Park Paseo? It's that simple. Because we have two jewels in this town, the Bay and the Park. And in between we have downtown. But we don't see it as a unit. You know, we see the park, yeah, it's over there sometimes. And we see the Bay, and we know where the Bay is. And then, yeah, we know where downtown is, but we don't make that connection. And it's not a new story. You know, in 1908, do the math, that's 116 years ago. 116 years ago, a gentleman by the name of John Nolan, who was one of the most notable urban planners in the United States, was hired by the city of San Diego that had, you know, less than 40,000 people to say, what should we do with this place? You know, how should we sort of develop it? And he came up with do a paseo that connects the two jewels, the Bay and the Park. And since then, many people like you have been following that dream, but like happens too many times, especially here in San Diego, it's all talk, but nothing happens. So one day we said, hey, 116 years is enough, let's just do it. Of course, that's what I tell my wife, and then comes the, comes the real part, which is the hard part of getting it. So, in connection with that, you know, we have the World Design Capital designation for 2024. So it became sort of, not convenient, but it made sense to really do it at that time. But this project was really not motivated by WWC. It just happens that it makes sense. They're complementary. So we were, what's the term that they use?
Endorsed.
Endorsed. We are endorsed by World Design Capital. We believe in one of the major projects because of its scale, its ambition, and the fact that there's so many people involved in the project. To tell you how many people are involved in the project, and I tell you how we got to that point, there are 13 design teams that are interdisciplinary. Most of these teams are composed of architects, landscape architects, artists, urban planners, computer scientists, you know, amazing the breadth. And that was part of the concept of the project, that the project needed to really be done not from just one point of view, not from one discipline, but from a combination of different disciplines to make each one of these experiences really rich and really exciting, because there's a lot of research and case studies that say that what makes a walk, paseo, you know, paseo in Spanish is a leisurely walk. Think of Champs-Élysées and the turn of the century with umbrellas and all that. So we're having an urban paseo here in San Diego. And I always say that the worst thing that can happen to you in San Diego when you walk is that you get a sunburn. And why is it that we don't walk? Why is it that we don't do that? Well, I'll tell you, there are some reasons. But in order to have a walk successful, it's got to be clean, it's got to be safe, it's got to be interesting, it's got to be memorable, and there's a payoff. Well, like greater payoff than the bay with a park, right? Well, as you'll see, Park Boulevard is not clean, it's not safe, not interesting, is not certainly memorable, but there are two payoffs. So the overarching goal of this project is to convert Park Boulevard, which has got, the physical attributes, into a facility. So we believe that the way to do that is through placemaking, is by actually creating it, bringing in design individuals, creators, to make it that interesting and that memorable. And of course, we need to clean it. It needs to be clean and safe. So that's kind of the overarching idea. We actually started this project, we formulated the concept 1 year and 8 days ago. On January 12th of 2023, I know that because that's my birthday, we had our first kind of get together. And we said, even though you heard that Beth and I have this nonprofit, it's called Urban Interventions, look it up, .org. And what we do is we design and fund art, public art and interventions in order to transform underserved urban areas. And we called it one block at a time. Well, that day, 1/12/23, we got a little ambitious and we went from one block at a time to 1.7 miles, which my wife reminds me every morning when she wakes up, grumpy. Said, what have you done to us? This is 1.7 miles, this is crazy. So anyway, I'm going to use 2 PowerPoints to kind of walk us through it. The first one is the what, the why, and the how. It's sort of the concept behind it and the motivations and how we were able to put this whole thing together. Then we're going to have a little intermission. And then we're actually going to walk the Paseo. But don't worry about it. We're actually going to do it virtually. We have a tool that we created that we call the parallel virtual Paseo, which you'll be able to use on your iPhone. You just go to our website, betaparkpaseo.org, and then you go into the bar with the menu, and you punch parallel virtual Paseo, and then you can actually use that as you walk. You can do it here, or you can walk the Paseo, and you can see what's going on. It's like when you go to a museum and then you get those things and it kind of helps you. So that tool has several purposes. One purpose is to enhance the experience of you as a walker, because you'll be able to see what's there or what's not there, because it may still be under construction or it got tagged and we have to take it down and fix it or whatever. And then the other one is for you to relate to the creators, their inspiration. The creators of each one of the zones will actually tell you what inspired them to do what they did, and who within their team was involved. So it's a nice tool, and it's also for posterity, because one of the things that I'll mention to you is that, as Roger said, we use design thinking and we use tactical urbanism to do this project. Well, one of the foundations of tactical urbanism is that it's impermanent. It is not a high budget and something that we can do fast. As you know, in San Diego, like in many places, it takes gazillion dollars and gazillion number of years to get anything done, unfortunately. There are warehouses full of 3-ring binders with great ideas that get buried in those warehouses, right? So What we do is it's called prototyping, iterations. You do something and let the public experience it, and let the public then react to it. And that will then not only entertain people, we get something done, but inspire people to really do more. And also, it informs what should be done on a more permanent basis. Instead of spending a gazillion years and a gazillion number of dollars, end up with a design that nobody likes. You know, it's like when they have these great sidewalks, and then all of a sudden you find that the grass is dead over here because nobody uses the sidewalk, they go over here. Well, wouldn't it be nice to have prototyped and, you know, and do that? So with that, why don't we go ahead and start with the first PowerPoint. Can we bring the lights down too? Okay. Once upon a time, January 12th of 2023, Beth and our associate, Chloé Lauer, who is a Harvard-trained urban planner, and I, got together and we said, you know, why don't we try to do something like what John Nolan said in 1903? I have been involved, like Roger said, for the last 12 years in trying to enhance the East Village. I was the co-developer of Idea 1. We came up with the Idea District, and so forth and so on. Through urban interventions, we improved East Street, F Street, 13th Street, one block at a time. And we decided, well, let's go big. Let's just go do Paseo. And we all thought, oh, this is a great idea. Until one day we went and rocked it. And we thought, holy moly, this is a long way. And it's complicated because there are many different aspects to the 1.7 miles. It's not all the same. Some places are very urban, some places are very landscapey-ish, and so forth and so on. So, what is the Beta Park Paseo? It's a 1.7 mile walk connecting San Diego's two crown jewels, the San Diego Bay and Balboa Park, through downtown. That's basically the essence of it. But it's more than that. It's really to create a paradigm shift from not seeing it as one continuum, but actually see it as a Paseo. We want to, the legacy of this, one of the legacies that we want to establish is when people come to San Diego or you live here and you want to go for a walk, you come here, you come to the Paseo and you enjoy the Paseo. We want people to have in their mind that when you want to do an urban walking experience, you come to the Paseo. We want to establish that. So it's not just about building this thing and opening it, but actually promoting it and getting it to where it's part of our DNA. Number one, to walk, and you'll see all the benefits of walking. And number two, that this is the place to do it. And you'll see why we think that Park Boulevard is the place to do it. Okay, so here's John Nolan. This is actually from his study. By the way, Balboa Park was called City Park in 1908, and it was 1,400 acres. It's now down to 1,200 acres. And he says right there, the Paseo. And he says, you know, what you need to do is actually combine the two, and you'll have something wonderful for a long time. Easy, right? Terrific. So why didn't it happen for 116 years? Because it's hard. It's really hard. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of dedication. So anyway, you can see it here. This is Park Boulevard, the green line. It's got good infrastructure, good sidewalks, so forth and so on. They're not in great shape, but the bones are there. The bones are there. So it's a challenge to get those great bones and create something really wonderful. And it just happens to also go through some really iconic structures and organizations. We got Petco Park, we have the Central Library, we have UCSD Park and Market, the new school. I had to put idea one. I just, come on, right? We're doing all this, I have to get a little plug. City College, San Diego High School, and of course we got Balboa Park. So think of Park Boulevard, the big Park Paseo, as the spine of what we believe will eventually be a tapestry of paseos. And we'll get into that in a little while. So we're not just, can you go back? We're not satisfied with one and out. We really want this thing to be the centerpiece, the inspiring centerpiece, to eventually every 2 years, we call it the Biennale, and I'll tell you why, to create a new group of creators and designers and people. So, we'll connect to the South Embarcadero. We'll actually, go to the barrio. We actually go further north and create really a tapestry of Paseo. And Park Boulevard, Bates Park Paseo, is the spine. It's our spine, and then you radiate from there. Does that make sense? Okay, well, great. So what are we doing? Well, because along the way, we got police, 10 cities, uninspiring streets, and a scary bridge. That's the bridge, which is the threshold between Balboa Park and downtown. Well, you say, well, that's a big deal. So why don't we just fix that? Well, it's complicated, very complicated. So, but our approach is that we don't wait for a government to help us. We don't wait for government money. We don't wait for anybody. We just go do it. We just go do it. One of my favorite quotes is from Banksy. Everybody knows who Banksy is, right? His quote is, "It's not art unless it has the potential to be a disaster." And that is, it's funny, it is funny. And my wife reminds me of that every morning also. But this is how things get done. This is how we do things. And we need to do more of that, especially the design community. This project, as you'll see, has a lot of great sociology components to it. And one of the goals of the project from a sociology point of view is to create a community of designers who are collaborative. And it's about what Malin Burnham, who's one of my heroes, calls community before self. We can all be competitors, we can all be doing that, but we sometimes come together in order to do a community-based project, and we all work together. And you'll see us as we go along how we have been able to achieve that in many ways. So that's kind of the what the project is. We'll go into the why in a minute. Let's talk about how. We use tactical urbanism and design thinking to prototype. That's the key word. What I'm going to show you on the second half, after the intermission, is the actual paseo. You'll actually be able to see it and walk it without having to go out on the street. Not that that's what we want people to do, but, it also serves to document what this project is about. Because we want this project to be an example, open source, because nobody's making a nickel out of this thing. It's the other way around. We're all putting all kinds of resources into it. How it's done, why it's done, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And let other people then take that playbook and do something with it. Okay? So that parallel virtual paseo serves to document and serves as a playbook on how to do these things. So it's prototype because, obviously we don't have the money or the time to do something that is permanent. But that will then inform what should happen. You'll see some design principles. Okay, so let's talk about how we then got around to it. You'll see in a minute another slide that takes the 1.7 miles and divides it into 13 different zones. Because like I said a few minutes ago, not every zone is the same as the other one. Okay? They have different contexts and different characteristics. And one of the principles of good design is to design something that's got context and it relates to the place where you're at. The other thing we wanted to do, we didn't want to make a narrative. We didn't want to make a story. So you don't go from, like a book, you don't go from chapter 1 to chapter 2, chapter 3, and you have act 1, act 2, act 3, inciting incident, boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy loses girl, and then at the end it's happy. And so it's not a narrative, usually. So we call it an anthology because there's several creators, not one writer, of experiences. We wanted to create 13 different experiences that as you walk, you can't wait to see what the next one is. Not because it relates to the one you just saw, but because that was so exciting, that was so great, I can't wait to see what the heck they did the next one. So it's an anthology of experiences, 13 of them. So we'll see, we'll get into that a little bit. No, go back. So that's the zones. Okay, so then you say, all right, great, well, how in the world did you get all these people to agree to do the work for free, at their own expense? How'd you do that? Well, a little charm and a little bit of manipulation. And I'll give you an example, one example. So I went to Rob Quigley, who was the architect of the Central Library. And I said, Rob, because I've known these people, we've been here 50 years, so we know and have used a lot of these designers as a real estate developer. And Rob and Kathleen are good friends. So I said, Rob, listen, we're going to do this project. Oh, great, John Mullen. Yeah, that's great. Let's do it. I said, oh, and by the way, I have this hack who really wants to do the experience in front of your library. But if you want to do it, it's your choice. You can do it, you can have this hack. Destroy your library, your legacy. Oh, no, wait. No, I'll do it. And on and on and on. We went to South Carolina, and we said, that great bridge, pedestrian bridge? Well, we got this really bad designer who is dying to screw up your bridge. Oh, no. Nobody's going to touch my bridge. I'll do it. And then on and on and on. So you see, it's a little benign manipulation.
Care to the stick.
For their own good.
Yes.
My mother used to say, milk and magnesium for your own good. Yeah, right. Thanks. So, let's see. I'm sorry.
You're like.
Okay, so we recruited the team, so we did that. And then the whole idea is to do things and then evaluate the results, and we'll get into that a little bit. Okay, so the next one. Design principles. Impermanent, inspiring, inclusive, interactive, imaginative, interesting, Instagrammable, impactful, memorable, whimsical, quick, and cost-effective. So after I got all these great, talented teams to volunteer to do the project, then we decided, okay, how should we write the design brief? I think most of you know what a design brief is. It's just 1 or 2 pages that you sort of tell people, the designers, what you want to create. What is it that you have in mind? Well, these are all much better designers than I am. So why am I going to prescript it, tell them what to do, when in fact they're doing it on their own and all that? So we decided that it was best to have a very, very loose, very open-ended design brief that was not prescriptive at all. The only thing we said, you gotta do it, you gotta commit to it, you gotta perform, it's gotta be really, really good, because You don't want people to say, oh, South de Rapinas was better than Rob's thing, you know. You're gonna have a lot of competition, so you gotta bring your A game to the game, for your own good. And then we said, we just want you to understand the context of your zone. Which they already did, because they had actually, I mean, Rob knows about the library, South de Rapinas knows about the bridge and so forth. But we want your design to be an experience that is memorable, super interesting. We don't care what it's about, but it's got to be within the context of your zone. We don't want people to say, what does that design have to do with that? You know, we wanted the experience to be within the context of the zone. And that was it. And then, you know, I spent the last year, I'm the wrangler. You know, I got all these wagons, and I'm, you know, keeping the wagons going, and people go off the reservation, and you bring them back, and you know, kind of get it going, and then people go, oh my God, what have you gotten me into it? I said, no, you volunteered. So anyway, that's how we got into the inspiration, and then let everybody do their thing. I think only one time in one group, they were going in a direction that I didn't think it was really within the zone's context. And then we talked about it, and then that was modified, and then it went in what I thought was a better direction. But other than that, so here's the different zones. The first zone is the Bay, Hilton Bayfront. And this is an interesting one, because originally we did not have this as a zone. That's the reason why we call it now zero. You know, zero ground. We got a call, Beth and I, from the Hilton. They said, hey, we hear that you're doing this Paseo thing. We insist that we're part of it. I said, okay, well, if you insist, sure. So the Bayfront Hilton, really their employees are actually doing, it's really a very important thing, because it's really the gathering place. It's the living room. It's where Bay, the Park Paseo. This is where we're all going to gather. I mean, it doesn't, you know, it's not mandatory to start here. Start here if you want, but you know, we think that this is a great place to celebrate the arrival. You know, ceremonially arrive there, get started, and then you know, you take your virtual paseo and you walk, and there's a group and so forth. The pedestrian bridge, South de Rapinas, we have Carrier Johnson and Inez Snell. Carrier Johnson engaged a artist from Spain who now lives in New York City to be part of their team. Central Library, we have Rob Quigley and Our Worlds. I'll talk about Our Worlds in a little bit as we talk about what you're going to do. Studio E is doing actually 3 little blocks. We have the UCSD Design Lab, which is fascinating. When we get to that, when we do the Paseo, you'll see the composition of their team. It's faculty and students of all kinds of disciplines. It's just amazing. The New School, we have Moshe Drew, Mike Stepner, Frank Walden, and some participation from the New School. Miller Hall, who did that beautiful building at Yale 1. The Kilroy site, you know, that was the Salvation Army site. We have Howard Blackson and Armando de la Torre, who is a terrific Mexican-American artist, really terrific guy. Smart Corner, Jim Brown, you know, Jim Brown owns, it's an architect, and he owns Bread and Salt. And he's brought to his team our zoo owns Cal, who is a professor of art at San Diego State. And they're having, that's another really interesting story. And then City College, we have Justin Manner, who's an internationally known artist, technologist, physicist from MIT Design Lab. And then we have Macala Landscape Architects doing the city, the high school. And then that awful bridge. I could not convince anybody to do that. I had a mentor years ago that said, if you want a fool to do something, do it yourself. Well, guess what? Guess who's doing that one? Under protest. But anyway, I have some great company. I have a tremendous support from the Balboa Park Committee 100, which I'm a proud member of that. And there's several of you here, thank you. And we have UDG, we have John Panuzzo here. John is actually involved with a lot of these teams. He's a designer, fabricator, and installer. He brings reality to these designs. He's been a wonderful addition to all the teams. And then we have Perry Vasquez, a good friend and a great artist, who's you'll see when we get to that in the Paseo. You'll see what we're doing there. So anyway, that's how we broke it up. And we matched. One of the things that really has worked out well is the marriage of the right zone to the right team. Next. Here's another way to document that. Now, in addition to the 13 teams, design teams I call them, we have a team called Clean and Safe. That's the Downtown San Diego Partnership, you'll see one of the sponsors of the project. And their job is to keep the place clean and safe. Because if it's not clean and safe, I don't care how great these interventions are, people are going to walk. So we have a metrics group. That's the Downtown San Diego Partnership, and UCSD professor Larry Frank. Larry Frank is the guy who came up with the word walkability. He is a renowned, worldwide renowned urban planner who deals with metrics and things like that. We have one overarching metric, and that is, what is it?
Foot traffic.
Foot traffic. It's about foot traffic. You see how this relationship works. So if we don't get people to walk it, we fail. I don't care how great it is, and I don't care how many awards we get for the fabulous design, I don't care. If people don't end up walking the Paseo, it's a failure. So one of the things that we're going to measure, and we have the software and all that, is the foot traffic every week on the project. And in order to assist that, we're going to start having walking tours every Saturday at 10:30. Okay. So every Saturday at 10:30, we're going to have walking tours to get people sort of used to it, and the word of mouth, and get things rolling. So anyway, that's the one metric that we were paying attention to. Okay, great. So why are we doing all this? All right. Well, this is just some of the benefits of it. It's a unique pedestrian experience to increase the number of visitors and residents to the San Diego Bayfront, Balboa Park and downtown. That's what it is. And every major city has a great downtown. Okay. Downtown is not in good shape. The public realm, in my opinion, I'm not a booster guy. I believe in the Japanese Kaizen approach. Continuous innovation. Be realistic about where you're at. It's not about being America's finest city. It's about where are we really? And how do we stack up to other cities? Seattle, Portland, Austin, New York, so forth and so on. How do we really stack against them? Because through placemaking, you attract and retain the best and brightest companies and individuals. And that brings high-paying jobs and prosperity. Okay? And we compete on a daily basis against other cities to attract those resources. And you can also apply the same thing to tourism, right? But it's more than just tourism, because tourism unfortunately creates a lot of low-paying jobs. We need the Googles, we need but we need them downtown, not in the North County. Sure, they can have their share. But if we don't really increase the value proposition of downtown will just wither away. You know, Navboard just, would you read the article what Navboard's gonna do? They're creating a new downtown. Great. So now we're competing with the North County, we're competing with San Diego State, and we're competing with Navboard. And was when we owned Idea One, you know, we had a lot of turnover because, you know, it's expensive. People rented, they love the project, they love the concept of being downtown. Well, after 3 months, they go, what am I doing here? I can't even go outside. It stinks. Some sidewalks you can't walk on. Well, guess what? After 6 months, they leave. Well, we have to stop that. We have to increase the value proposition of downtown. Yeah, I know. I'm good. I'm picking up speed.
He's getting on
No,
a
but-
whole other topic now.
No, but it's important. It's the why. Why are we doing this? Just for the hell of it, so we can go for a walk? Yeah, but it's also because when you recruit somebody from whatever, and they come to San Diego and they walk to Paseo, they see the value proposition of downtown, they say, this is where I'm going to move here, this is where I'm going to start my business, and I'm going to create jobs, and so forth and so on. So that's one of the reasons what we're doing. Prosperity, additional pedestrian visits to the waterfront, like the Rady Shell that was on attractions, pattern Park, Balboa Park attractions. What other people don't have that we have here is the park and the bay and all those iconic places that I showed you. But we're squandering that. We're squandering. Health, the mental and physical health benefits of walking, leaving behind cars and parking. Environmental, walking reduces our carbon footprint. Societal, provides an inclusive, equitable, and diverse pastime. The Paseo is free for everyone. It's free. You can do it anytime you want. You don't have to pay anything. Okay? Provides an so blah blah blah. The creation of a public linear venue for years-round activations. Think of the 1.7 miles as a linear venue to have all kinds of pop-up activities. That creates that rich, you hear a saxophone, you got a storyteller on the corner, you have a nice little great cafe. By the way, it's a great cafe now that's just opened at Idea One. It's by some Taiwanese people. They have exquisite taste. Not only is the coffee great, but just the look of the whole place is fabulous. Highly recommend it. Okay, but wait, there's more. I love that one. So the legacy, the potential unique San Diego event, San Diego Paseos Biennale. I mentioned to you that we want a tapestry of Paseos. The reason why it's a Biennale is because it takes 1 year to design and get it going, and 1 year to experience it. So hopefully every 2 years we do it. Okay, and then look at this location. We are at the nexus. This is the cornerstone of a Paseo. We have the bridge, we start right there. We have the Bay to Park Paseo all the way to the park, and then we have the South Embarcadero. Look up at the Rady Shell is. Is that a killer location or what? So why is it the boats are so good, but it's terrible? Because we're not paying attention.
Oops, sorry.
Okay. All right, so the iconic mascot, I don't know if that's what for the project is this beautiful butterfly. By the way, this is a Hermes copper butterfly that is native to San Diego and Tijuana. It is not like a lot of butterflies that go from Alaska to Mexico. This little butterfly actually is ours. It's right here. It's endangered, by the way, because of all the fires that we've had. Look what that says if we are able to get this thing done. Okay? It's fabulous. By the way, the butterfly alone is 45 feet high, which is almost a 4-story building, and 65 feet wide, which is a 6-story building on its side. And it announces the nature of who we are. It's freedom, it's nature, it's bicultural, it's binational. So anyway, you'll see this when we go to the Paseo. Now, this is not impermanent, because that thing is not cheap. So, but look at it, you'll see it from all over the place. Okay, next. Okay, so let's talk about how we got here. We have raised enough money to, in the last 6 months, 5 months, to give each one of the design teams a $10,000 stipend. So every time they cry, I go, hey, I gave you $10,000, what else you want? You know, which is ridiculous when you consider what they're investing in this project. But it was a good, it made us feel less guilty. So the Port of San Diego is our major sponsor. We're still looking for $30,000, not to build the Paseo, because we have enough money to do that, but to promote it, just to make sure people use it. So we're looking for that. Here's some of the other sponsors: Michael and Anita Akavan, Beth and I, Jeff and Carrie Silverman. You know, the Silvermans at one time owned most of this. They owned this. Mary Walshock and Pearl Dimes. The Downtown San Diego Partnership, U.S. Bank, Kiwanis Club, and the Balboa Park Committee 100. We wanted to have, we'll go back, we wanted to have some public assistance. We wanted to have philanthropy. We wanted a little bit of business. We didn't want this to be a business-driven initiative. But, you know, they say, why do bank robbers rob banks? Because that's where the money is. So we're happy that they're here. Kiwanis. By the way, Kiwanis has like a huge, long relationship with San Diego High School. And of course, Balboa Park Committee. Our fiscal sponsor is the Downtown San Diego Public Spaces Foundation, which is part of the Downtown San Diego partnership. And so we don't touch the money. When this money comes in, it goes right into there. People get a tax deduction. And then our teams bill against their $10,000 stipends, and they get paid that way. So it's all very, very community-based. Nobody's making a dime out of this thing, but we'll do well. So here's the schedule. We actually had our first kickoff on April Fool's Day, which is appropriate. We had at our house. We wanted to throw Rob Quigley into the pool, but he's too big because we so we started out with conceptual designs, and then preliminary designs, team fabrication. We are spending the next 3 months fabricating and installing. So you're going to be seeing things happening little by little, okay, over the 3 months. Because some people have to get a permit, and some people have getting a permit that is more difficult than others, like the Caltrans Bridge, which is a nightmare. And then hopefully we'll have just about everything done the end of March. We're going to have on the 23rd of March a celebration. It's going to be a parade, but on the sidewalk. And it's going to be second line format, like in New Orleans. So it's going to be a 1.7 mile conga line, all the way from the bay, all the way to Balboa Park. So bring your whistles and your hats and your umbrellas, and we're going to have drums and horns and all that. It's going to be fun, because the project has to be a lot of fun. Okay, so
Okay, so Chloé, we're at 10:30, so we're an hour in. So I want to just be
Do we
conscious
have
of
another
everyone's
half an hour?
time.
you guys want to just keep,
Yeah, I think we just,
Okay.
yeah.
you guys want to keep rolling?
Yes.
Okay, let's keep
And then
rolling.
we'll kind of rock and roll, because you want to leave time for
Yeah,
questions.
go ahead.
All right.
Okay, so, oh, by the way, here's our website. So in order to, if you want to get your iPhone out, go to this website, and on the menu, it'll give you the virtual digital Paseo, and you can follow it or you can follow it here. So when you go to your phone and you pick up our website and you click there, this will show up. So you can do it at home, you can do it tomorrow if you want to walk it, everywhere. So parkpaseo.org, and then you go to the menu bar on the top, and you click parallel virtual paseo, and it'll take you to another click. Bay Park Paseo. Very simple. Bay to Park Paseo.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind is that this tool will evolve as installations are actually put in. We'll get some photography of the actual installation. So it's going to evolve and improve.
Yeah, this is just.
But this is the starting point. Just going to show you the designs in progress.
So, after this talk, go home, take a look at it with, but this is the same thing as on your screen, so we use it here. If you don't want to use your phone, we can do it here. So let's walk the talk, okay? And you heard this before, the 1.7 miles. This virtual aid will enhance your experience by allowing each design team to introduce themselves and share their inspiration with you. Okay, you've seen this, you know who these people are, and so forth and so on. Next. And we talked about the sponsors. Next. You've seen this before. You've seen this before. Okay, first one. This is the first experience. This is in front of the Bayfront Hilton. This is a gathering place. They're using the Garibaldi fish, which is the state fish, as their sort of, and this is a place, very simple. You can get your feet wet right here, right there. And you're right there, and this becomes sort of a gathering place. This will be, this will be, here's a little butterfly, this will be a QR code telling you about the project. Okay. So at 10:30 in the morning. Okay, and then this is actually the inspiration. Bayfront is creating a study blah blah in addition to this. And then they're also doing something called a passport. So if you go there and you go into their front office, they'll give you a passport. It's called the Balboa Park Committee passport. And if you come back with enough stickers from museums and all that, they'll give you a gift, which is kind of a cross-promotion thing. And then when you check into the hotel, they say, well, what do you do here in San Diego? Well, you gotta go to the Paseo. Here, it's your passport. So these are a lot of fun things that we are doing, some cross-promotion with the zoo and so forth. And no, go back. And then these are the main folks who are working on it. These are all employees. And let me say, what's really, really exciting about this project is how excited young people get about this project. It is the architect who graduated from the new school, and they thought they were going to design something fabulous, and then they're just in front of a monitor designing something. And they think this is great, this is fantastic, this is what I want to do. So a lot of the enthusiasm and a lot of the excitement within the design groups have come from the younger crowd. So, okay, so this is experience number 2. This is from Safi Rabinis Architects, T.Y. Lin, UDG. So what's interesting is that they designed the bridge originally. So they understand what it takes and what it doesn't take. With the help of John and UDG, we're actually building right now a mock-up of this thing. This is fabulous. This is really, well, go to the next page. This talks about the endangered butterfly and so forth and so on. And this talks about how it's actually built. The installation uses a series of mesh panels tensioned between the existing cable stays to create the form of the butterfly. Within the mesh, so think of, you got these big cables and you got this mesh. Color tabs, about this size, are fastened to allow for airflow through the mesh, creating an illusion of movement as the taps oscillate in the onshore breeze. So this thing is not only big and beautiful, but it actually shimmers, shimmers in the wind.
Who remembers the old Sparkless trucks?
Hey, think of it as pixels. Each one of these panels is like a pixel. Okay, so the next one is Gary Johnson plus this artist that I mentioned to you. This is Park 12 across the street from the Padres. Okay, and this is a hole right now. So this artist uses string to do a sculpture. And the colors and the form is to show the connection between our three cultures: the native culture, the American culture, and the Mexican culture, okay, in terms of color and how we all live it together. So you can see, to celebrate these connections, our design uses a palette of vivid woven strings that will stretch and express the unique culture fusion of San Diego, Tijuana. So now you've seen three very different experiences. Okay? The welcoming thing, simple, celebrating the little stick fish. Then you saw the big butterfly. By the way, the big butterfly, we hope that we can, we're fundraising right now to be able to build it. But it's a heavy lift. So it may not happen for a while. But we think that if there's one project that could really symbolize the whole Paseo, would be that. And we're actually using the butterfly as breadcrumbs. So we don't want to have your typical sign, oh, follow here, go there, make a right, make a left. Fortunately, it's all on Park Boulevard. So as long as you keep going straight, you don't deviate, you're not going to get lost. But on top of that, we're going to have these little 4-inch butterflies made out of foam color, and we're going to hang them in different places. So it's like breadcrumbs. You walk around, oh yeah, there's a butterfly here. So it's just, fun things like that. Okay, this is right after, before the library. This is some fun interactive things by Studio E. And this is their inspiration. And these are the people at Studio E that are working on it. Maxine, Courtney, Marcella. Okay, so let me talk about Studio E. Studio E is a fabulous architectural firm who competes with a lot of architectural firms. They are actually doing the permit application and processing for 4 different teams. They're doing it for themselves, they're doing it for Miller Hall, they're doing it for the UCSD lab, and they're doing it for Motion Group. So here's a perfect example of people who compete against each other all the time, and they're actually sharing resources and time in order to help each other out. Okay? And by the way, that's something that we suggested, hey, will you guys think about that? And say, oh yeah, great, no problem. And it's just phenomenal. I've never seen that before. Okay, then the library. Beth, you want to talk about the library?
Sure. This is really exciting. Our Worlds is an organization that uses technology to tell the stories of our tribal region and tribal leaders through storytelling, but it's done through holograms and other types of technology. So
here's a hologram. You know, in the library they got those things on the same book.
So
okay, they project that hologram.
So this is largely going to be more of a technology installation, but what you'll be able to do is scan the QR code, and then you'll actually see 3-dimensionality of whatever that particular installation is. And it will be someone talking, or it will actually be like a whale swimming, or so there'll be a lot of different types of stories that will be available there.
But they're Native American centric stories.
Yeah. The other thing is they've been working with the Central Library and accessing the archives. At the library, they have amazing archives of materials of photography and different types of resources around these topics. So between the central library staff and our worlds, along with Rob and Kathleen, they're kind of putting this whole thing together. It's really exciting. I think there will be throughout the year perhaps an installation or an exhibit happening in the library that will complement this, but right now it's going to be on the exterior.
So it's educational, it's inspirational, it celebrates the native people and their seat at the table, and so forth and so on. We're so excited about this. As you can see, another very different experience. Okay, next. Here's their inspiration, and then, who's involved, as Beth just said.
I think what's been really exciting about this process, and Pete and I were talking about it on our way over, is just how different the experiences are and things that we would have never come up with, but each one is really special and unique, and that's been part of the real joy of working on this with the different teams.
Well, as Rob Quigley says, it's great. We're actually harvesting from the library images and culture that we're then going to share with people. So it is within, what is more contextual than books in front of the library? And these are visual books and images. Okay, now this one I call the time machine. So what it is in these periscope things, you can actually look across the street and you see a building, an urban building. But if you look through these viewfinders, you'll see instead an image of what that street could have looked like, let's say in 1910 or in 1850. So it's a time travel thing of the evolution of a city over time. And then this one really is at the corner of Park Market, and this is really a sort of on the sidewalk to celebrate these very interesting trolley stations right here. These are short blocks. And then again, the people at Studio E. Okay, and then this one is the UCSD Park and Market. One of the things we love about this is finally we're getting UCSD to get out of that building and do something. That building is not friendly. It's a box. And
there's a guard.
There's a dog, you can't see anything. It's UCSD, but really? So this is them coming out and actually interacting with people. And what they're doing is they are really, it's an interactive experience about subject and issues that are really important. Like, what does home mean to you? Which is the first one. So it's a way to find out what does home mean to you, and what is it about being unhoused, and what can we do about it, and so forth. So it's really, really typical UCSD is doing it.
This was just featured in our latest newsletter that went out this week, and the evolution from a wood, what they've done in wood here as a prototype, and what they're ending up with is really exciting. So if any of you are not on our newsletter list, I have a sign-up sheet up here. Please, before you leave, give us your email. We'll make sure you're on it for future.
Yeah, again, this is a mock-up. John UDG is involved in this, and this is now going to be, what material are you using for the purpose?
So we're using a 1/2-inch aluminum and 1/2-inch acrylic, and there's going to be some technology.
Yeah, it's going to have motion detectors, and the thing will talk to you, and you talk to the thing, and it's just interactive. It's a sidewalk. Because by the way, we didn't want things to be too interesting so that you spend 45 minutes on each one. It's got to be an experience that you react to it, you see, but you keep moving. So it's you want to be interesting, but not that interesting or too consuming. So then nobody gets to the park. So you got to thread the needle. Now this is kind of interesting. If you look at Stephen Dow, he's a professor. Michelle Morris, she's the associate director of UC San Diego Lab. And then you have, these are students, cognitive science. We have interdisciplinary computing, arts. We have urban studies. We have entrepreneurship and innovation, real estate and development, real estate and development, degree in computer science. So you have faculty, students from all different disciplines. And that's what the design lab is supposed to be. It really started the concept of the D School at Stanford, which is to bring many different disciplines to really attack, if you will, very complex issues that need to be seen from many different disciplines. So, okay, now this is this building right here. This is Mosher Drew with Frank Wolin and Mike Stettler. First of all, there's so many architects in San Diego who graduated from this school. It's amazing. And it's really the only architectural school in San Diego, because Woodbury is over there. But when you walk this building, it's a black box. You have no idea what's going on in here. You say, oh, that's an architectural school. I don't see anything. When you come into the building, you see how great it is, how many things. So they're making an effort in order to put these full windows. That doesn't mean they're gonna, saw cut the concrete wall, but they're gonna have images behind these kind of a window frame, full window frames, that actually give you a sense of what's going on in this building. Okay. Okay, and this is Miller Hall. They call it the Desert Super Blue. They're also working with John on this. John is helping him out in his shop. And this is really concerning the carbon footprint and how it relates.
Yeah. You want me to keep going?
No, yeah, keep going, keep going. So this is about the diversity of our region and the danger of our environment due to carbon.
So this is kind of more of an educational exhibit about how buildings contain or sequester carbon. So it's a little more, so they're trying to make it very accessible and understandable, but it's a more sustainable type of topic.
Okay, and then this is Howard Blackson and Armando de la Torre. And they call this mobility through time. So remember, this used to be the retail store for Salvation Army, right here. I got torn down. So they're going to have 4 or 5 different panels, and each panel will represent, the fact that at one time they were on Park Boulevard, there were trolleys, now there's trolleys, car dealerships, and all of the different types of uses of that site over the many, many years related to mobility. Okay, and this one is fascinating. This is Jim Brown. And what he's doing, he's actually creating a relationship between the walkers, him and his artist, and then also the residents. Because what he's doing, he's gotten many residents to volunteer to participate. So they interview the residents, and based on what they find out, they come up with these iconic little symbols, and then those will actually be placed in windows of the building. So as you're walking by, you see these little icons, but it's a plastic that you're not hurting the glass. So that's an experience to bring those 3 people together.
And that will evolve throughout 2024, so they'll keep adding exhibits throughout the year as they work with more residents.
Okay, all right, so here we have City College. By the way, this is, I call it the Serpentine Walk. And it's beautiful on its own. To me, it's kind of mystical almost. It's kind of enchanted. Okay. Now, through Justin, who is the fellow that I told you that he is the guy from So Limited, which is a world-renowned group that deals with technology and with art. So what he has done, he wants to, by the way, we're fundraising for this too, because it's very expensive. But this is fascinating. They have come up with this design where you sit on different benches and you get a different sensation. I don't understand it, but he assures me that it's gonna be a knockout. Okay, you sit in one and you feel like you're at the beach, okay. And you sit in the next one, you think you're at the desert, okay. So anyway, it's expensive because of the technology and so forth and so on. And the reason why I haven't reached out to you again is because we gotta make sure that we can raise the money. But it's very simple, go back one.
Whoops.
All we do is that we just leave the benches the way they are and frame around it, and then overlay the new bench over this bench on a temporary basis and hide the technology underneath. And as people walk through this enchanted walk that you have, then they can experience different things. And until we get the money, go back, with your permission. We'll go back one more. We're gonna hang little 4-inch butterflies along so that the enchanted walk has this little, swimming in the wind.
Butterfly will tell you where to sit.
That's right.
Right.
Okay, okay, this is the high school. This is by McCullough. McCullough has a few other members, Texture, and a couple of other firms. And this is really what they call the Journey Warm. So they're going to span a lot of the big eucalyptus trees that they have. And they're going to hang this thing that has some sound and some lights, and in order to show the connection. It's challenging because it's a long zone. It's a long way to go.
It's a very long way. This is probably the longest stretch. And in addition, you have something like 1,500 or how many students at San Diego High School coming in and out of that front door every day. So the idea of making sure you're hanging something up above.
Yeah, you see how high that thing is? There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Okay, so you can see the people involved. So here's mine.
With the artist in residence today.
Oh yeah, Perry's here. Hi, Perry. Yeah. Perry's a great artist. He's also a professor at Southwestern College in art. And his specialty is trees. He paints trees. And he's at several museums. So he's a big time artist, which we're really, and he's a very good friend. Okay, so the bridge is 310 feet long. That's longer than a football field. It is noisy. It is dirty. It's a horrible experience. So it's like, seriously? This is the entrance to the park? What kind of experience is that? So what we're trying to do with a small budget, by the way, this one is fully funded, thanks to Committee 100 and a matching grant from the Balboa Park and so forth and so on. And we're working with John on this. So these are almost 8 feet by 8 feet panels. These are murals, vinyl mural panels that are attached to the fence, if you will. Okay, and there are photographs of trees and flora from the park. So it is to commemorate and celebrate the park, because the park is not just about the buildings, but it's about the grounds, it's about the trees, it's about kids' sessions, and so forth and so on. Go back. And then also, it actually then mitigates some of the sound and some of the dust and so forth and so on. So it has double use. One is to visually be a very attractive experience, and the other one is to mitigate some of the. All right. So here's the involvement. Now, what makes this complicated from a permitting point of view this is why we may not have this one done by the end of March, is that it's Caltrans. Caltrans is a state agency, it's big, bureaucratic, you know, they got all kinds of rules and regulations. One of the regulations is that you have to, and just to apply, you have to be a governmental agency. Okay? I'm not a governmental agency, but I was able to convince the city of San Diego to be the applicant. So of course I have to work with them and make them happy. And then we, together with them, we have to make Caltrans happy. And sometimes, you know, it's difficult to make everybody happy. And we're going through the process. We've been at it for about 4 months. We're making good progress, and we're moving forward. So, but as soon as we have it, because we got the money now, John is going to print the photographs that Perry took. Perry is the artist. He not only chose the trees, but he photographed them, and then John will print them. John, by the way, if you look across, on East Street, you know, the big mural on Hill 1 that, John did that for us. So anyway, and then guess what? We're at Balboa Park. So that's it. All questions are good questions.
Sorry, I apologize.
All questions are good questions. Just ask away. It's open book. It's open source. There's no secrets. By the way, we're looking for volunteers.
If you were asleep, you're not asleep. We have a sign up form. We're kind of small but mighty team, and there's sometimes little projects that we
if
need.
you want to get involved
So
and
if
do
you'd like to get
something,
involved,
just let us know. We can get together and
or if you would like to make sure you're on our list. Okay.
yeah. So anyway,
Lila, we have a question.
oh yes,
So at the beginning, you talked about clean and safe,
yes.
and how that's important. And there are parts of Park Boulevard, or there were a lot of homeless events. And how are you able to do that? Clean and safe, are you partnering with the city to make sure that?
Good question. Good question. Can you put, Beth? Can you put the slide that has the results? Okay, the downtown partnership has a component called clean and safe, and that's what they do. They go around and they deal with the homeless. They deal with cleaning. That's what they do. They have a large budget. They're a PBID. There is a property and business improvement district. They have a contract with the city, and the city pays them to do that. We have a long-term relationship with them, and we have an agreement with them that they're going to do the best in order to keep the place clean and safe. Now, when you look at the zone. When you look at the 1.7 miles, there's two places that are challenging. One is the library, and the other one is where the Salvation Army used to be, which is right here. It's between E and F, the Park Boulevard. Those are the two areas that are more challenging. The library, recently the city passed an ordinance saying that you cannot encamp next to a school or a public facility. Obviously, the library is that. And they have, as you know, if you read the paper, the number of homeless in downtown has gone down. Not overall, because of course they went someplace else. But now the city has given the police and clean and safe the tools to be able to say to people, hey, you can't encamp here. By the way, we do have a shelter for you. And they're actually posting it. They actually have posted in front of the library. You cannot encamp here. Now, of course, you say that, and 2 hours later, somebody's there. But they are committed to us to try to keep it as clean and safe as possible. Now, let's talk about Salvation Army. Because that site is very close to Urban Discovery Academy and the high school and City College. Then we are also claiming that that area is also protected. And we're waiting, hopefully soon, to have the signs that say you cannot encamp here. But it is part of the process. It's public property. So, but it's part of the learning process. How do we deal with things? We're not trying to displace anybody. We're not for homeless or non-homeless. We just want to create something that is helpful to everybody. Well, we did, I think you mentioned the project that we did that was called Street Stories. That was on that wall that got torn down. We had a pop-up event there. We had homeless, non-homeless, the police, hecklers. It was great. It was a fest. It was a community thing. Everybody loved it. The police came over, and some people on our team said, "Oh my God, we're going to get this." And the policeman said, "Hey, this is really cool. Can we stay and participate?" I said, "Sure, no problem." So it's all the attitude. You got to have tolerance, community, and compassion, and then you do the best you can. Is that Mr. Whitney?
Yeah, you talked initially about.
Can you hear?
Okay. You talked initially about how difficult it is to get things done. We get these great plans, and then, from my experience, it falls apart in the permitting, takes way too long, the funding costs too much, and then public disagreement. Like, why did you do this, or why did you do this here? So my question is permitting. You were talking about, well, let's just do it. What is allowing you to just do it? Do you have to go get permits? What's that process?
Great question. Okay, if you are on the right of way, you need a permit. And originally, because a lot of the things that we've done in the past, we've done in road with no permits. We got away with it. But once you do 1.7 miles and it's big, well, cat's out of the bag. And so what we're doing is a lot of it, we're actually, like for instance at City College, that serpentine sidewalk is their property. So as long as we have their permission to do something there, we don't need to get it right away from the city. I mean, we still have to work with them and get their approval, show them that this is in everybody's best interest. Or at the library, they're actually working inside. The reason why they're doing it in the, what is that called?
Arcade. Arcade.
In the arcade, because the arcade is
Inside the building?
inside the building. Or if you plaster something on the side of the building, you're not in the right of way. Now there's
Yeah, but
six.
there is signage.
The what?
There is signage and other regulations, especially in the gaslamp district.
Yeah, but we're not doing signage. No, we're not doing signage. There's no text. There's no signs. We're here to show people great things. It doesn't say McDonald's, buy a hamburger here. It's an experience. So you're right. There can be no signage. Like for instance, the Caltrans. No signs. You didn't see a letter in there. It's all images.
Okay, so you call
So
this
let me finish. No. Yeah, it's art, and we're going through the art venue. Okay, so out of the 13 experiences, 6 required a minor permit. The city loves this project, and the city is being very, very helpful. But they've got their own rules and regulations, so they're not turning a blind eye to it. But they're coaching us and helping us to get there as soon as possible. One of the lessons learned from all this is what are the bottlenecks to make these things happen? Well, one of them is permitting. So we said to the city, if we want more of this, you guys need to streamline the process, and they're doing that. So that's one of the benefits of the project. Now, there's 2 that are really more difficult. One is the pedestrian bridge, because that's hard. And then I told you about Caltrans. But again, I was shocked. Caltrans loves the project. They're talking about doing more of these things than other bridges. So again, they have their own rules and regulations, and you have to go through the process, and you're not going to get any shortcuts. But they're willing to tell you, oh, no, don't go there, go over here. It's like, no, over here, do that. So we're getting a lot of community participation to make it. Yeah. So we're working through, we are in the last process on the 6 for the city. And we're almost there.
And actually downtown, I think is easier place to work than some other parts of the city because we have specific representation from the planning department for downtown, who's, very much wants to see more things like this happen. So they've been very supportive. The person we're working with at the city on the Caltrans situation, she's been wonderful. So there's been a lot of collaboration and, good communication and support.
Now, the other key is not having public money. Because the minute you get a nickel from the city, there is a committee, and then there's this, and then you gotta have a public this and that, and you spend 3 years ending up with a count. Because somebody wants to have a hump over here. No, I want 3 humps. And no, those legs are too long, they can be shorter. No public money, we just do it, we're paying for it, but we wanna do something really terrific. Because we believe in having all fans. No enemies, no people who love, everybody loves it. But I know this is a stupid thing to say, but there's a great quote from Steve Jobs that said, people don't know what they want until I show it to them. Many times, and especially since it's impermanent. Okay, if we build it, people don't like it, we tear it down. Or we do it differently the next time. So that's the key. The key was in formulating the project in a way to minimize the obstructions and the bottlenecks of the project, within reason.
So talking about impermanence, what's the time, how long can you imagine this stuff?
Well, I'll give you an example. When we did the street stories, the window stories, we did it for $14,000 in 90 days. And we said, if this thing lasts 3 months, we'll be happy. It lasted 3 years until they tore the building down. So it all depends. That could last 3 days, or it could last 2 years. We'll see. Let the people vote with their feet.
Hello, Jim.
Jim?
Pete, you had mentioned you're going to have walking tours.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea to expose people to it. And I know you were looking for a sponsor for the marketing advertising. Are you participating this year in Open House San Diego? And if not this year, maybe a segment next year?
We could. We're not, we're so busy with what we have on our plate. But
Great
sure, but that's a great idea. We definitely should do that.
What is
But
open
right
house
now,
San
we're don't have the gas to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
Open House San Diego is
Yeah, no, we're familiar with it. But go ahead.
an international program.
It's a what?
It's an international program where businesses, neighborhoods, all kinds of points of interest open up to San Diegans. It's free. So there's a map all around San Diego of different venues to visit. And it's wonderful. And maybe you have some other comments.
What are the dates this year?
It's in March. I don't know the exact
March
date.
9th and 10th.
9th and
Would
10th,
it overlap
March 9th and 10th.
to March 23 maybe?
No, it's a great, Beth and I go every year. It's wonderful.
March 9th
And it lends itself to what we're doing.
The other advantage we have this year is World Design Capital, so there's a lot of focus on that. That's helpful. Also, the library, for example, their national conference for libraries is going to be in San Diego this year. So there'll be many events that happen during that conference at the Central Library. So there's a lot of motivation to, fix some of those broken windows and make everything look pretty spiffy. So that's also, so I think there's a confluence of things that are coming together that will be very helpful in putting some positive attention.
Yeah, so let me give you an example. One of the things that we have done over the last 4 years as urban interventions, we have worked with the Downtown Partnership in replacing 450 street trees downtown. And we did that with zero, not 1 penny of public money. We raised all our money, the replacement value of $500,000. Okay? And it is about placemaking, it's about improving. So one of the things that we did recently, we got Ralph Quigley, the Downtown Partnership, the library, ourselves, and we went and redid a lot of the landscaping around the library. And like Beth said, it's like, are you kidding me? Why do we have broken windows in the Central Library? Is that crazy? And now they've ordered the windows, they're getting placed. So there's a lot of eyes on the street to make sure that it's not just us doing things, but property owners improving the property and just creating a very welcoming, clean, safe, interesting, and memorable paseo for everybody's benefit. So that's part of that group, community-based value.
See, let me wind up with a couple questions of my own. First of all, somebody mentions up at the library convention, how about Comic-Con?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. At the Bay, you have the convention center, and the first museum that you see at Balboa Park is the Comic-Con Museum. So we're already talking to the Tourism Authority to talk about getting Comic-Con to actually use the 1.7 mile linear venue to have all kinds of people in costumes going from the convention center all the way to the museum. That's a festivity.
And then the second question is, talk a bit about the future paseos, like the one you said might be happening in Tijuana or around Harbor Drive. So how do you think that's going to progress?
Well, just let us open it up now. Let us make it successful.
I mean, you need a formal organization, San Diego Paseos or something to make this consistent.
That's us.
Yeah.
That's us. This is a community project. We do have a lot of relationships in Tijuana. We have a group of designers, especially one young architect who's really good, who loves the project. I was very involved with the EDC here in San Diego, with the EDC in Tijuana. So we are exchanging ideas with them in order to see if they can start doing something similar. But, we have very limited bandwidth. We can't all of a sudden helping them when we're drowning over here. But the idea is to, again, bring more people under the tent to do something. So I'll answer your question in about 6 months.
If there are further questions, thank you very much.